Look, I think we've all been in a place before where you're venting to a friend about how another relationship or situationship or talking stage, whatever it is, didn't work out. Or maybe it's just how you haven't dated in a really long time, or maybe it's because you've never dated. It's whatever situation where you just feel so terrible about yourself. And your friend hits you with the dreaded, you just have to love yourself first. And you want to scream, kick, punch, vomit, and commit some sort of act of violence because that phrase makes you so freaking angry. We're going to talk about why it elicits this reaction in so many of us and how you can reframe it for yourself when someone in your life says this to you so you don't end up in prison, because you can't stop people from saying it. They're going to keep saying it because they don't know any better. So let's start with why this phrase is so infuriating. I don't want to get too caught up about the intentions of the person who says this to you because, in my opinion, hyper-focusing on the other person is a distraction. And there's also not one right answer, because sometimes they think this is the thing that you need to hear. And I'm going to talk about why they think that at the end of the video. But I do want to acknowledge that sometimes your friend says this love yourself more thing, and that's the answer, because they don't want to sit with your unpleasant feelings. They want to brush the whole thing under the rug. They want you to feel better. They don't want to be in the icky feelings with you. And that's not the correct answer to have. I'm sorry. It's just, that's not how you support a friend, in my opinion. So I do want to affirm that for you. The way I see it is, most of the time, you have to love yourself first is salting an already open wound. Because usually someone gives you this advice when you've made a choice that feels like crap, but it actually was good for you. Like, it was the right decision in the moment. And loving yourself does not mean you're going to feel good all the time or that everyone is automatically going to treat you well, unfortunately. So this is the context in my life when I hear that suggestion the most. So let me know if this resonates with you in the comments. For years, I had the same relationship on repeat. Eventually, I learned to regulate myself and I understood my own role in this dynamic I was building. But I also learned that communication does not fix anything if the other person cannot meet you where you are. So I've had to end things with people who simply could not progress in the relationship because they did not have the repair skills. To them, any sort of conflict was unbearable and they had to retreat. They were incapable of tolerating someone being upset with them. And I realized there's only so much I can do. Like, even if I liked and care about them, I had to make the brutal choice to close the door because they did not have the capacity to work through the conflict. It was too hurtful to them and it triggered them too much. And it's brutal because there's a part of you that wants to keep going and try to make it work. If you know my 5 stages of healing disorganized attachment, this is stage 4 territory, like to a T. And I just did not have a name for it yet. But if you want to learn more about that, you can check out this video here or take my dating pattern quiz. The link is in the description. And the last time that happened to me, it was with someone I really cared about. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience because I could see the exact pattern that had unfolded previously. And I knew exactly what was happening. And I actually think that being able to recognize that pattern as you're going through it instead of after the fact is a huge sign of growth, but it's incredibly disorienting at the same time. Just because you're able to see it happening in real time doesn't mean you're able to do the correct thing that's right and best for you. And so you're sort of having this tug of war with your brain in that moment. The thing I did that was good for me, though, was I did not let him ghost and reappear on his own schedule forever in perpetuity, like I may have done with other people. I ended it and it felt awful. I felt so badly about the whole situation that I was making the wrong choice. But in hindsight, I know I was doing what was good for me, even though it felt terrible. And so technically, in that moment, I was loving myself and doing what was required of someone who does love themselves. So then I would be venting to a friend all the typical self-pitying stuff, like, why didn't it work out? Why does this always happen to me? Why can't I find anyone? I'm gonna be alone forever. Like, I'm worthless. This is hopeless. This is not gonna work out. Like, why is it like this? I started listing everything wrong with me. And that's when my friend hits me with, you have to love yourself first. I was so freaking mad. I could have thrown my phone across the room, because what is loving myself if it isn't what I just did? I'm already on the floor crying, blaming myself about it not working out. And you're telling me I'm still not doing it correctly? Like, there's still something I'm doing wrong? And that if I just loved myself better, whatever the hell that means, the perfect person would fall in my lap and it would all work out and there would never be conflict. Like, that's crazy to think about. It makes you feel like there's one more box to check before the right relationship falls into your lap. And I'm here to tell you that box does not exist. You need to find someone who can work with you. And these guys weren't it, right? So here's the first thing I do differently now. When I'm having a terrible relationship experience, I actually don't vent to my friends while I'm still in that raw, vulnerable state. And I know people hate this advice because it sounds like I'm telling you not to reach out for help. I'm not saying that. It's more nuanced than that. So please hear me out. I'm trusting that I have built an intelligent, capable audience that can hear the nuance, okay? Please, I pray for my sanity and yours. I've learned a lot the past couple of years about how the brain works in these moments. You've got the top of your brain, the cortex. That's your rational, analytical thinking. That's where you can step back, take in information, and come to a conclusion rationally. And then you've got the bottom of your brain, the older stuff, like that's the midbrain and the inner forebrain. That part is just trying to keep you alive. That part's mostly subconscious. It's like threat and reward system sort of stuff. It's like you don't have much control over that stuff reacting to external stimuli. So you just need to calm it down. You have to wait for that part of your brain to calm down. And when a friend tells you to love yourself, they're calm. They're thinking from the top of their brain. So it sounds like they're being reasonable and giving you rational advice. But when you've just had another connection fall apart, another thing you were super hopeful for, and now you've lost hope about your entire future, you're not up here in your forebrain. You're down here in the survival part of your brain. And down there, you cannot think your way out of anything. Every piece of advice feels like an attack. You will get defensive. You're going to start seeing the other person giving you this rational advice and trying to help you as the enemy, because it's almost wired into us to do this. That's why I stopped talking about this stuff when I'm in that state. I will not bring it to a friend. I need to feel it first. Our friends are not therapists. So they may not be very good at just sitting with unpleasant emotions. They want to make your uncomfortable feelings go away or try to make you feel better about them. And there's nothing to fix yet when you're in that headspace. Venting actually can make things worse because venting is a way for you to avoid feeling the feelings. You're trying to think your way around it so you don't have to sit in it. But you do have to sit. There's just no way around it. You have to feel the shitty emotions and trust you're going to come through them the other side. Like, they're not going to last forever. They're going to move forward. That is the first step that no one really wants to acknowledge. And I've probably lost a lot of you already by including it in this video. And the reason I'm telling you this is because all of the tips I'm about to give you now are not going to work if you're in the bottom of your brain, if you're stuck in this emotional state, the subconscious state. You cannot reason your way through anything while you're still hurting that badly. So how do you know which part of your brain you're in, top or bottom? So you're more likely going to feel it in your body before you see it in your thoughts, though I will talk about thoughts in a second. So when you check in your body, the bottom brain will show up physically. It could show up with your heart racing, tightness of chest, face is really hot, you're shallowly breathing, you can't sit still, you kind of feel like you're vibrating. Like, that's anxiety. And that anxiety is pulling you to do something, right? I need to text him, I need to scream, I need to run, I need to like check his profile, I need to do something. That urge to act is trying to make the anxiety go away. I've also read that it could be the opposite. Like, you get frozen, you're really tired, really heavy, you don't want to move, you feel like you're having trouble thinking, it's very foggy. It's almost like your body's like, okay, it's time to sleep now. Like, let's play dead in our lives. Like, that's kind of the freeze response, right? If you've been ignoring your body for years, you might not be able to feel any of that because you're not in touch with your body. So here is a thinking version of this. If you're down at the bottom of your brain, odds are you're talking in absolutes. So things like always, never, every time, this always happens to me, no one's ever gonna choose me. And you're feeling like this is a fact, right? Like, I'm completely unlovable. That resonates as if it is like an absolute truth about you. It's not just a thought you're having that you can separate from yourself and who you are. The top of your brain feels different. Like, you can hold two things at once that seem contradictory. So like, this hurts and I'm probably gonna be okay. Like, that is where you can see that you're getting a little bit of distance. Like you can imagine that feeling smaller in a week, right? You're not necessarily at peace with it. You still feel raw, but you're not underwater. And if you can calmly stop and ask yourself which brain you're in, you're probably already on your way back up to the top of your brain, because when you're truly in that midbrain, in the bottom of your brain, you're not pausing to check. You're just sort of reacting to the sensations in your body. Being in the bottom of your brain is a very physical experience. And so if you're still stuck in that subconscious area, the way back up to the top of your brain is through the physical. It's going for a walk. It's taking a shower, moving your body, deep intentional breathing. And it takes a while. It can take a while. It can take 20 minutes. It can take an hour. Don't skip this part because it sounds hooey and like you don't feel like it works for you. I didn't think it worked for me either. And it was because I didn't want to be in touch with my body. I didn't want to think about my body. I wanted to be a feral little beast in my brain. There's no other way around it. That's just, the somatic work is so important. And honestly, that's the work most of you are avoiding doing. Sorry. Now let's talk about alternatives for what to tell yourself or to tell someone else in your life if they're going through something like this. Because a general rule of thumb is that any advice that tells you that you need to reach a final state in order for you to be or feel okay or to have a successful relationship is going to make you feel like crap. There is no final state. That state does not exist. It is just keeping you stuck. The first thing I recommend is name what you wanted, not what's wrong with you. The second something falls apart, we have a tendency to trigger a list of every defect that we have. I'm too much. I'm not enough. Like, I'm not hot enough. I'm not funny enough, whatever the enough is. If I just done this differently, this wouldn't have happened. Like, that list is so unproductive. I need you to stop. Instead, I recommend affirming to yourself, of course this hurts. I wanted this and it didn't happen, and that sucks. You're allowed to be sad about something you wanted without it meaning you're a hopeless and broken person. That person may have disappointed you or turned out differently than you wanted or been incapable of proceeding in a relationship, whatever it is. So you can say, this hurts because I wanted blank. Notice I didn't add, and that means I'm blank, right? Like, there does not have to be a conclusion about what this outcome means about you. An example is, this hurts because I wanted this loving, sweet, intelligent man to be able to see through his own pain and recognize mine, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to. I don't have to end it with an indictment of my own worth. It's just what it is. Second, use the word and. There's this idea that floats around the internet self-help space of thought flipping, where if you have a thought of, I'm never anyone's first choice, you just have to replace it with an affirmative, I'm always chosen, and just brute force your way into believing that you're always chosen. Like, just say that to yourself over and over again and it'll work or something. I think that's bullshit. Like, your brain knows you don't believe it, so it rejects the idea and it makes you feel worse. So you're adding resistance to your experience. So I don't recommend thought flipping at all. So my recommendation is, don't flip the thought, add to it. So some examples might be, this one didn't work out and I can still go on the next date. I'm not ready right now to try again, and I will be eventually in the near future. I feel abandoned, and that feeling does not get to decide what I do tomorrow. The way you get through life is by recognizing that the painful thoughts can just ride along with you. They do not have to get a vote in your life. They do not have to get a vote in how you comport yourself. Your pain does not have to dictate what you do next or even what you think about yourself. It's just there. It is just an experience, and it's all temporary. So take the meanest sentence in your head and add, and I can still blink. When that mean thought pops up, add to it. It's not your final sentence in your story. You get to keep going. Third, figure out who the that voice belongs to. Some voices you can just shut down, like the random cringe memory from 10 years ago where you said something dumb and your brain keeps replaying it and you can't reason your way out of that one. So I personally have gotten to the point where I just started to think of my brain as separate from me. It does things that I'm like, why are you doing that? And I just tell it to shut up. Not now. We are not thinking about this right now. This is not helpful. It doesn't mean anything. We're moving on. Right? So that is sort of a benign experience that I don't really attach much meaning to. But Some voices are deeper than cringe attacks that have more significance about how you feel about yourself. So I'm talking about the ones that say things like, you're hideous and impossible to love, and no one's ever going to choose you. A simple shut up is not going to work on that one because that one's old. Like, that's ingrained in you. You cannot fight that one head on. You're going to lose. I think you should get curious about where that voice came from instead, because that's not great, right? To have that floating around your head. And this is something I haven't said yet, but I teased it in the beginning. As annoying as you have to love yourself is to hear, people usually say it when you're kind of being a dick to yourself. Like you're really beating yourself up in front of them. And it really doesn't sound like you like yourself that much. And that is not how someone who loves themselves talks to themselves or treats themselves. So they might have a point there that there's something to look at. And most people don't want to look at those self-hating thoughts because they're difficult and uncomfortable, and you don't know really what to do with them. A voice that nasty did not come from nowhere. Someone put it there. So instead of trying to silence it, I recommend asking, whose voice is that? Like, when did I first hear that? And once you start looking, you realize it is not even your voice. It got installed pretty early on. Maybe it was a parent, maybe it was kids at school, maybe it was the media, maybe it was someone who hurt you later on in life, like an abusive relationship, something you heard enough times that it started sounding like it was your own thoughts. It merged with who you perceive yourself to be. And that voice is only there because at some point you decided that berating yourself and catching your own flaws before someone else could point them out to you felt like it was the safest path to going forward. This is the basis of a therapy modality called internal family systems. It's also called parts work. And the idea is that we've all got multiple parts inside of us, different voices and different ways of thinking about ourselves and even the world. And there's a great book on it written for laymen, like not therapists, called No Bad Parts by the guy who created the whole thing. And I cannot recommend that book enough. It's going to help you unpack those voices in your head. Because what it comes down to is just love yourself is the healing fantasy in its purest form. And it's actually a really good sign that you're rebuking it and that it feels wrong. I think that's a sign of growth. Because when you tell yourself you need to love yourself before you can be in the relationship that you deserve, what you're really saying is that you're failing at doing something because you haven't fixed yourself yet. And that is the exact readiness trap so many of us are stuck in. And if you want to understand what that is exactly, you should watch this video next.